A very good afternoon to our respected principals, Professor Dr. N.C. Ghosh, our guest speaker, respected faculty members, and my fellow PITs present here today. I am Fahim Begum from 3rd year CSE department.
And I am Devantari Shukradhar from CSE and we will be your host for today. Ministry of Education, MOE, Government of India is making every possible effort to drive innovations and entrepreneurship to
এইভাবে যদি বসাই সবার মাথা আটকে যাবে।
Thus, MOE, Government of India has established institutions
স্যার যদি বসেন ফ্রেমে চলে আসবে
to systematically foster the culture of innovation amongst all higher education institutions. The primary mandate of ICFAI students by supporting them to work with new ideas and transform their prototypes into success stories. Innovation has always been the cornerstone of science, since science is about discovery.
So taking part in this initiative, Institutions Innovation Council of Bengal Institute of Technology, that is IICBIT 5.0, is presenting to you a technical session on the topic Achieving Value Proposition Fit and Business Fit.
Thereby, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to this wonderful session, where our guest speaker of the day is Professor Subhanan. Before we start the seminar, I would like to call Fahimdi to felicitate our guest speaker, Professor Subhanan with the bouquet. Professor Dr. N.C. Ghosh sir, the President of IICBIT, Dr. Orpita Chakraborty ma'am, the Vice President of IICBIT, Dr. Tapun Kumar Pal sir, and our guest speaker, Professor Subhanan sir, to kindly be seated on the dais. Now, I would request you, our principal sir, Professor Dr. N.C. Ghosh, to say a few words to comment this session.
Yeah, very good afternoon to each and everyone here. I'm delighted to invite or rather welcome Professor Subhanan, our resource persons for today's seminar. And we have Dr. Orpita Chakraborty, the President of IAC. We have Dr. Tapun Kumar Pal, Vice President of IAC. We have guest from ICFAI, Mr. Shubhati. And also all our faculties, HODs here present, and our students. But I am not happy because we have limited students today. So my dear students, bring all your friends when there are this type of activities, because all these activities are being organized for you, not for us. And you will not get the flavor of all these faculties who are coming to just share their thoughts and ideas with you. And also we have two young anchors here. So they are very encouraged guys here. So today's topic, you can see that it is value proposition fit and business fit. I do not understand what is the fit here, but what I understand, it is something related to management as well as the economics. So these type of talk and speech will help our students a lot when they will be in the market, after their education, when they go to the market, because these are the words you have to use when you are talking to someone else. And they are the people. Professor Subhanan is from ICFAI, he is a faculty there, he is a professor there. So they know what are the things to be taught to the students, so that when they are going to the market or when they are going to the professional world, how they will talk with each other, so how they will talk to the customers. In such case, you will tell them they are my customer, right? So, my dear students, have the flavor of his talk and try to understand what are the things which are there in the market nowadays, because in our teaching learning processes you will not find this type of special type of talk, special type of lectures. So in future, if I see that okay, you are limited in numbers, I will advise our IIC president not to organize such type of seminar, because they are trying their level best to commit to give you the best. But if you do not want to do it or do not want to pursue it, then we will have to stop it, right? So take it as a positive note and ask your friends they should be joining in such type of talk in future. So without taking much time, I heartily welcome our expert who will be delivering his talk, and he prefers to have an interactive talk. He was talking to me. He was saying that BIT is an institute where students come forward and asking so many nice questions. So many nice questions. So this gives a lot of motivation to the speakers as well. So that is the reason I say that let the students be here, let them be interactive in the talk itself. Okay? And we have number of other discussion in future. Of course, we will be taking up some issues with the ICFAI as well. So students, wherever you feel that okay, you need exposure on such areas, you just tell to your madam, Pita madam, she will be organizing all such seminars, workshops, so that it can make you easy going in your future career, future endeavor. Thank you very much.
Wisdom and encouragement. Now, I would request the President of IICBIT 5.0, Dr. Kolkata Chakraborty ma'am, to say something.
Very good afternoon, my dear students, my dear colleagues, and I guess on the dais. Today, you must be wondering why the seminars are in cities lined up for you. You must be wondering. But see, you are in this generation, Industry 4.0, where the automation is there and AI is ruling, right? Artificial intelligence is ruling the market. And where you find that while surfing the online activities, the chatbots are assisting us. The drones are doing the delivery at our doorstep, right? And the robo are doing the surgery in a nursing home. So it is putting us in a state that whether our jobs will be there or not. You have seen that I, Lisa, I, Aparajita, they are the news anchor. Have you heard of them? Yes. So they are coming just in parallel with the human beings. They are playing with the players, the sportsmen, the robots are playing, and it is found that they are equally potential. So what is, it's a threatening to us that whether our jobs will be there or not. Are you thinking about that? Are you facing that challenge? Yes. Yes. So when the few doors are getting closed, it doesn't mean that the other doors will also be closed. No, it's not that. Other avenues are also there. So you have to think of that. Not only be the job seekers. Previously also I mentioned that. While you were doing the projects, few days back also, I know for the adverse weather today many students have left. I'm very sorry for that today the attendance is not that much. But you have participated in different types of project works, in the hackathons, in the tech fest in our college only. You have made different projects, exciting projects also. But one thing you should remember, does your project promise something? Promise something? Do you have any promise along with your project? What does it mean? Does it have any value? Value to the society, value to the, with respect to the application, does it have? So while making some project, just don't find something from the YouTube or something from wherever the sources and do it yourself. No, not is the way. You have to think what are the values associated with that. That is, what are the promises you can make towards the society. While Steve Jobs had introduced the iPod, right? He promised thousands of musics in the pocket, and that promise is kept, isn't it? Have you seen that? Do you enjoy it? Yes, we all enjoy it. Similarly, while you'll be doing some project, it should contain something innovative, some promise to the society that my project is going to do these things for the betterment or for these purposes of the society. And when these promises are kept, then we can say that value is fitted. And everything, while you'll be doing the business, as we are saying, even the Modi government is also promoting that not only the jobs, you have to create your own jobs. In our country with huge population, we have to create our own employment, isn't it? So during that time also, if you keep these things in your mind, few days back when you used to ask the students, have you heard of the YouTubers? Yes ma'am, I am a YouTuber, oh, so many students are there. Then we asked, have you heard of entrepreneur? Entrepreneur, oh, no. Hardly a few knew that. So, but the situation is changing. In our college, even the scenario is getting changed. And we find many students are coming up there with their questions, ma'am, how to do this, how to make our own startup. And believe this, if you know the ways, if you know the proper ways, then you will not fail. You will not fail. So have that belief in your mind that you can do that. Only repetitive project works, only repetitive things is not going to solve anything. You have to do something of your very own. So these seminars are arranged for you people to understand this broader landscape. Okay, so we would expect that in the future days also you will be attending this type of seminars and workshops that are for the sake of you people only. Okay, and so today we are lucky, very much lucky that our expert speaker, Professor Subhanan is with us. He will be asking, please feel free to ask questions, whatever comes in your mind, and please come to know about this subject. Because who is the fitter, he is the profiter. So try to fit yourself within the situations, different situations. Okay, and in that way only you can succeed. Not only these academic courses and theories and labs will make all your purpose, it will not that. You have to be three-dimensionally sound. Okay, so with that hope, let me finish today's lecture. Let's welcome our speaker for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your encouraging words. Now, I would like to request the Vice President of ICFAI 5.0, Dr. Topon Kumar Pal sir, to say few words.
All of you, respected principal sir, and respected our guest speaker and IIC members. Now, IIC is dedicated for encouraging the student, the benefit for the student. But if you take it as lightly, then what happens? Our hard work cannot give any fruitful result. So that's why our humble request all of the student and your classmate to participate this kind of seminar, because this is not in your curriculum, in your textbook and other things. So whatever you get from that, this is for extra. So I think you are doing all kind of project and product fair, you are already passed for that. But what happens if you create any kind of product, whether it's a software or hardware related or biotech related, but one thing you keep in mind that the first thing is that you have to earn something. But how and give this product to a valuable one, and it can fit for business purpose. So that's why if you talk about the prototypes, formation and other things, but after that you have to calculate or you have to thought about how this kind of product can be fit for market or it can give a particular types of business. So that's why our esteemed guest, Professor Subhanan, he is also give lectures previous sessions, previous IIC 4.0. So I think you enjoy this kind of lectures, and I welcome the speaker in this platform. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insights.
Now I would like to request all the delegates to get back to the seats.
To request my co-host, Faridi, to introduce our guest speaker.
Professor Subhanan sir has been associated with the IBS Kolkata campus for the past 10 months as a full-time faculty member and teaches marketing management, retail product and brand management. Prior, he was associated for a year with IBS Kolkata as a visiting faculty. He has a corporate experience of 11 years in the retail, travel and media industry, having worked with industry giants like Future Group, MakeMyTrip.com, Anandavanar Potrika and Spencer's Retail Limited in various capacities in the marketing, branding and operation domain. In his last stint prior to joining IBS, he was associated with Spencer's Retail as the Senior Manager Central Operations based out of its head office in Kolkata. Subhanan sir has completed his Masters in Science from the University of Calcutta and postgraduate program in Management from IISWBM Kolkata, both in first class. So without any delay, let's welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. You set the context on a very right tone. And I'll just put things in perspective. I think, you people already have the basics in mind, and I'll just converse with you and maybe, I'll get the things in place for all of you with regards to the topic that we are about to discuss at hand today. Okay? So let's go to the small deck that I've prepared for all of you. Okay. First up, this is what I call as the mantra for success in any kind of business, and as I think ma'am spoke a few minutes back, all said and done, ultimately, there will be many of you probably who are just not job seekers, and maybe even if you get into a job kind of a scenario at some point of time, you would obviously like to take a wild guess as to what this CC, DV and TP could stand for in the perspective of a business. And in the perspective of any kind of marketing to be done, what is that CC, DV and TP that it could stand for? It's an acronym, right? So, for development. Okay, what does the first C stand for? The first C, take a wild guess. Create, perfect. Okay, the second C, communicate. Who said that? Super. Okay, get it going. So C, the first C for create, the second C for communicate. What does the D stand for? Develop. Okay, get it going. Innovation. Someone of you said deliver already. Okay, so let's take D and V together. So what do you deliver? The next V. Thank you so much, dear students. I think you have cracked it. Okay, so CC, DV and TP is nothing but create, communicate and deliver value to the target group at a profit. And if I am to break it up for all those of you who are the budding entrepreneurs out here, so the first C is taken care of, and any organization will have a lot of subunits in place. So the first C that is there, creation is done by which team? Usually by which team? Research and development. Very good, perfect. So research and development team within a part of something which we refer to as the product team itself. So the product or the service that you are actually making, here as a matter of fact, who does it? Is the research and development team, which he said, and I take it broadly as nothing but the product team in place. So the first thing for you is to understand what kind of a product you would be making and therefore a service that you would be making and how will you make it, and I'll explain in detail. The second C is nothing but how you communicate. So that's probably more about the brand communication team. So they are the ones who are responsible for making the communications and getting it across to the client and the target group that is there, okay? So the paper ads that you see, probably the TVCs, the television commercials that you see, probably the radio spots that you hear, all those are a part of that communication, which is the second C in place, okay? So it's just not okay for you to create a product to acha bana diya, but you know, the customers do not know, the target group doesn't know about the product at all. So no point, right? So you got to create, you got to communicate also. Now the next two is about delivering value, okay? And then park that aside for the moment because that's what will take the larger section and the larger part of my deliberation today. Now the next part is nothing but the T that you rightly told is nothing but the target group. So obviously, you know, my product or the service that I'm making in today's world cannot be made for anyone and everyone. So some anecdotes on that also I'll be giving you. So which is the right target group to go ahead with is something that you should be knowing. And last but by no way the least is something that I refer to as profit, as all of you have already told. So you know, all said and done, you've created the product, communicated the product, you've got in customers also, you've given them too much of value. But at the end of the day, if you are not making profits, then probably you know your business is not going to run. You don't want to make business at a loss, right? So therefore, remember this mantra for the rest of your life. It's about CC, DV, and TP. Okay. So now quickly let's look at this. A Bisleri bottle and a kind of a 1 liter bottle that is there in place. Okay. So when do you buy and why do you buy it? A Bisleri bottle here. Okay, ma'am says Bisleri because of the goodwill that is there. Thank you, ma'am. Anything else?
When we feel thirsty.
When you feel thirsty. Thank you so much. What's your good name? Ayush. Perfect. So when you feel thirsty, that's what Ayush has said. Fair enough. So anything else? When you feel thirsty and probably.
When we need.
It is available in the market and therefore probably you will be having a Bisleri in place. Okay, anything else?
When there is shortage of water at
Wait, the busher is
Okay, I'll now break this up into a little more into a case study kind of thing. Okay, imagine that you know you are going out for a holiday, and all of you are aware probably about NJP, which is nothing but New Jalpaiguri, and probably you know from there you can go to maybe Duars or maybe Darjeeling or maybe Sikkim, Gangtok, so on and so forth. Imagine that it's the night before 11 p.m. at night, and you are at Shialda station. Padatik is actually going to leave, and you find for yourself that you know I'm not carrying water. Okay, and this is the situation that is given in front of you. How would you be quenching your thirst if what Ayush has said? And probably that is the reason why you basically need a water bottle. Okay, so for quenching of your thirst. So how could you have quenched that thirst in place? What could you have done?
Using different water companies.
Using different
Water bottle companies like Aquafina or something.
Okay, you could have gone in for an Aquafina also. Why do you take a Bisleri therefore?
Because there is no brand there.
There is no brand there. You could have anyone else with any other thing. How could you have quenched the thirst? What could you have done?
Tap water also.
Tap water also perfect. What's your good name? Origin. So Origin says it could have been done by tap water also. So as opposed to tap water, why do you want to take Bisleri?
The trust of that
Because of the brand.
provider.
Because of the trust, because of what ma'am also said, and you are also saying because of the brand. Okay, anything else?
This is the branded mineral water.
Branded mineral water. Okay. Yes. Ensure quality. Okay, fair enough. Could you also be going in for something? I do not know whether you have heard of the brand. Could you be going in for a QA also? QUA. Have you heard of the brand? A 1 liter kind of a Bisleri would cost you nothing but 20 rupees. QA would be costing you something around 60 rupees.
Pricing also matters. Cheaper than the other one.
Pricing also matters. So therefore, that's what is there in place. Any other thing?
Brand value.
Brand value. Brand value which is there. Okay, fair enough. Now that's case number 1 which I discussed with you. Now let me give you a second case, and all of you are perfectly right. I'll come back and then discuss the end of the case out here. Imagine for a fact that all of you are into social media, right? More or less. and all of your Gen Zs, which are like, more or less like 1995 bonds to the 2010, within that age group? Yes. If I'm not wrong? Okay. So all of you use Instagram, right? Facebook? Yes. No, yes? Okay, on the whole, I might expect an 80% of you do that. Why do you use it? Why do you use the Insta or Facebook? Or, huh? You love to see advertisements on social media? Life is so good happening.
You want to show the world.
You want to show the world. What's your good name?
I don't want. Generally people do it.
Generally people do it. Fair enough. Okay, so he does not do that, but generally he assumes that people go in and probably has a social media account because of what? They kind of want to show off, and end of the show off, what do they want to have?
Some likes.
Some likes, some comments, some shares, okay? And some
Reach.
and some reach also. Perfect, great. So therefore what happens is, we have taken into consideration two kinds of products in place. The first product is a kind of Bisleri in place. The second product that I've talked about is nothing but Facebook in place. Now therefore through these two, let me explain the concept of value to you first. Okay? So that's what you people have already told me, but this is what, there are four kinds of values usually there in business. Okay? So I think Ayush, right? Have I gotten your name right? Yes. Yeah. So Ayush towards the very beginning gave a very smart answer that I'm using a Bisleri to quench my thirst. So that's the basic need that any organism usually has. And therefore by using, you could have had it from your tap water also, you could have had it from Bisleri also. That's the first kind of a value which we refer to as the functional value. So probably here, your Bisleri water bottle is probably quenching across thirst, and therefore the functional thing is getting done. The second one is nothing but monetary value or economic value, and I compared it with Goa, if you remember, a 60 rupee versus a kind of a 20 rupee. So therefore you are having certain kind of value in place which is nothing but economic value, which means there is a greater value for money here, and the kind of return on investment that I am possibly expecting is much more if I have a Bisleri, which is a goodwill in the market, and at the same point of time an economic moat also, because I am not having to pay 60 rupees like that of a Koa. No harm, there could be some of you who could be having the kind of a pocket strength to go in for a Koa also, no harm, but probably you go in for a Bisleri because you see some kind of a value in that 20 rupees more, right? The third kind of a value is nothing but the social value. So you are all talking about these kind of social medias in place. So what happens with the social media? You get likes, comments, shares, so you're known by the world, people acknowledge you. So therefore that's nothing but the kind of social value that you are having. You're kind of having a social acceptance from the rest of the people around you. So that's the third kind of value. And the fourth is the kind of your psychological value. So that to the extent which a product allows consumers to express themselves or feel better. So sir told that it's a mineral kind of a water bottle there in place, and so therefore functionally what happens is you are more assured that yes, if I consume this water, it's not going to be detrimental towards my health. So psychologically you are satisfied. Okay? So therefore that's the first line which is drawn, that what are the various kinds of values there in place. Okay? So the first kind is your functional, second is economic, third is social, and the fourth is your psychological value in place. Any queries, any confusion still here? Okay, fair enough. So moving ahead, so if you look at the value delivery process, and I am not sure whether my slide is visible from that end, but the first thing is you choose the value, which means that you are doing homework or research on the market segmentation, target market selection, and the value positioning. Okay? Imagine for a fact, how many of you are foodies like me and probably go across to McD's? Oh, not many foodies out here. Only 2 or 3 or 4. Okay. How many of you are veggies, by the way, here?
Veggies?
Veggies, which means you are vegetarians and you are not into non-veg. I am a hardcore non-veg, by the way. Nothing less than mutton biryani would serve me fine. Huh? Okay. So imagine for a fact that, have you heard that when McD actually came to India, they were a failure? You know the story why?
Yes.
Because
they were selling the US type of burgers.
Correct.
But not affecting targeting the Indian audience.
Absolutely, absolutely. So see the answer. So they were coming up with some kind of hamburgers possibly in place, which does not work in the Indian terrain. And there are a lot of veggies, a lot of vegetarians here in India, and therefore what happens is they quickly refurbished their menu and they came up with something called as Mac Aloo Tikki, Mac Aloo Maharaja in place. Okay? So all these they had done. Why? Because it suits the Indian palate. So therefore what happens is, that's where I'm coming to the next part of my discussion, is where a segmentation kind of a thing comes in. So therefore there's a kind of a geographic segmentation, which means what will sell in the US will not be selling fine in India. It could be, but there would be different kind of takers also. So that's the first kind of concept, which is a geographical segmentation coming in. It could also be that, you know, when I'm probably going in for an iPhone 12, is it the same kind of a target group which I'll run after? Probably, than the ones who will buy a Vivo phone actually? Different. So probably the SEC wise or the socioeconomic classification wise, you know, probably we say that, you know, it is the higher strata of the society who could be possibly affording a kind of a iPhone in place, but probably, you know, the lower middle class or the middle class who could be affording a Vivo also, kind of, right? So therefore, that's the demographic kind of a segmentation, the second kind. There could also be a kind of a behavioral segmentation. What's that? Imagine for a fact that, you know, it's the Valentine's Day and the sales of roses and cakes surge, is it not? Yeah? So therefore that's nothing but day-specific stuff which marketeers usually make today, and that's nothing because, you know, behavior-wise you are entwined, or rather, you know, you are encouraged to go behind that kind of marketing in place and you buy those kind of stuff there. So therefore that's the third kind, which is behavioral segmentation. So once you understand all these segmentation in place, why I am saying so much? Go back to my first slide, which is CCDV and TP. Very important for you as the budding entrepreneurs to understand what that T is or what that target group is. If you're not able to circumscribe to that target group nicely, you will not be able to create the product for them also accordingly. So therefore, the question of delivering value also, the 4 values that I talked about, question of that does not come in. So therefore, there are these 3 things which are intertwined with each other. We got to understand value firstly, which you understood. You now understood what segmentation is. And going forward, I'm just going to give you certain kind of snippets to make you better understand how the target group also differs in place. Okay? So first is you choose the value. Second is you provide the value, which is the identification of the features, the prices, etc. And then you communicate the value. Communicate the value meaning that, you know, you use the different channels of communication, and maybe, you know, if I'm today possibly coming up with a newspaper targeted only towards the college going students, what kind of a communication, where should I be putting an advertisement, do you think?
Social media.
Social media?
Outside the college.
Outside the college? Perfect. Why do you say social media? Very popular nowadays, and probably, you know, you are going to find the right target group there in the social media platform, because probably, you know, the Gen Zers will be more present on social media outside the colleges, very rightly said. So therefore those are the media vehicles that I'm actually going to use to reach across to my target group. Okay, now let's move ahead. Okay, now let's look at this. Distillery water bottle. You know, it was 500, and then, you know, it now serves you 525 ml. 500 ml towards the beginning, and now it is giving you 525 ml in place. What kind of a value do you think is getting affected out here? What kind of a value do you think is increasing or decreasing? Huh? Quantity is increasing. So if quantity is increasing, what kind of a value is increasing? Economic value is increasing. Okay? Because probably the per paise you are earning up or getting a little more. Okay, does the functional value increase? Yes, no? Maybe? Why maybe? You're right, because that answer is maybe. But why maybe?
Maybe I'm getting more quantity, but I don't need that.
Perfect. So, you know, your quenched is thirst. Maybe, you know, you just gulp a glass, maybe a sip or 2 sips, 3 sips, it's over, right? Your quench is gone. You've quenched your thirst, and therefore you do not require it anymore. So maybe there's the question mark that functional value, it might increase, it might decrease also, or it might remain a constant. But economic wise, yes, obviously it is. Social and psychological, do you think it increases, decreases, remains the same? Huh?
Psychological value increases, sir.
Increases. Why do you say psychological value increases?
We get more of the water at the same price.
More of the water at the same price. So probably somewhere I feel good. Okay, fair enough. So now let me give you a separate kind of thing. So experiential and your social value probably will not be affected to a very large extent. The economic value, as you said, may increase. The functional value, as you also said, may increase in place. Okay. Now look at this. If you change the colors from maybe violet to probably a pink and probably an orange, do you think any kind of a value gets affected out here? What kind of value? Why psychological? Why social, by the way? Just by increasing differentiating the colors, why does social value go and increase?
Some people won't prefer any color.
Some people won't prefer any color, okay?
In case of Tinder, they were created one for boys, one for girls, but the thing was same only. But the boys were little expensive and girls was also expensive.
Okay.
According to the normal one. So that's how they can also increase.
Okay, fair enough. So therefore you think that probably psychologically that might be affected to some extent, okay? For different?
For getting attention.
For getting attention, perfect. Okay, so therefore psychologically gets affected. That probably I have just come out with maybe a mango flavor, and later I come up with a strawberry flavor also, and therefore I get a variety in place. So probably my psychology is getting affected to some extent. Now look at the next one. Shah Rukh Khan endorsing Bisleri. What kind of value do you think it will get enhanced?
Social value.
Social value. Perfect. So what happens is probably you think that this is now the kind of a brand which is getting endorsed by Shah Rukh Khan, and therefore if I use it, people seeing me use it will now value me more. Yes, it's a status symbol now. And you'll be zapped to learn. Have you heard of the brand called First Cry? Firstcry.com. So in fact, First Cry sale increased 5 times post they had taken in Amitabh Bachchan as their brand endorser. Okay, so it's nothing but probably the social value probably which has gone higher up, as all of you have rightly said. So now that we have understood so what this is, so to do all these, to change the colors and come up with different specifications, maybe to take Shah Rukh Khan as the endorser or Amitabh Bachchan for First Cry to take endorser, nothing comes for free, right? Can you take a wild guess as to what maybe for a 1-year endorsement, any kind of celebrity of the stature of maybe which is the good fan that you people like? Probably Deepika Padukone? No? Ranbir Kapoor?
No.
Okay, so who is it? I'm not so familiar with the other names. Okay, Virat Kohli. Take a wild guess as to what a 1-year endorsement could be costing. Wild guess. 300 to 400 crores. You're close, obviously, yes. So therefore, to therefore make profits and go to CCTV, TP. So how much of money you have to extract from the end consumer so that you are at profits? You can understand. Yeah. So therefore, all these come at a cost. So therefore, you should also be understanding to improving the product specs. Second, to reducing the price. Third, offering a longer warranty, and fourth is your advertising, which are all a part of your costs itself. So you should be having a good kind of a tab on the cost that you actually incur. And I think sir towards the very beginning told that it's a mix of about economics also, and there's some kind of economics also which I'm going to teach you today when I'm going to take up costs to a very large extent a while later. Okay? So a quiz for all of you now. Yes. Imagine that Make My Trip, a travel booking website, has the following lines on its homepage. Get up to 1,500 off on domestic flights, flat 10% off on international flights. What kind of a value do you think it is communicating? Absolutely. Easy one. So it's more about your economic that is getting done. SanDisk manufactures your USB memory devices like pen drives and external hard disks. What value is the following excerpt from the website trying to convey? Whatever your story, SanDisk helps you tell it, from capturing a special moment to sharing your favorite songs or movie, you can count on us. So that's the kind of an excerpt from the home page. So what kind of a value do you think this? It's a kind of a
Second one.
from capturing special moment to your favorite songs or movie. You can count on us. See, it is doing all sorts of things. A kind of a product or a service can serve a lot of things. But the advertisement speaks about what? What kind of a value is it telling?
Social.
Huh?
Social.
It's a kind of a social thing, right? So they are harping on the fact, see, from capturing your special moment to sharing your favorite songs or movie, you can count on us, right? So therefore, that's the kind of a social value that actually they are communicating across. So therefore, your product might be having functional also, social also, experiential also. But the communication here is about the social one. Okay? So therefore, that's about it. Now let me show you three adverts entering one after another. And we'll see the videos also. I've captured some nice videos for all of you. But let's do the discussion firstly. Imagine for a fact that you're having a Coke, okay, and a normal Coke. I'm not going across to a Diet Coke at the moment. A normal Coke. A 5-year-old can have it.
No.
If the mom and the dad is a little bit lenient, it can be given. 10-year-old, 50-year-old, 80-year-old, definitely be having. A female and a male can be having it. College going student and a school going student can be having it. Okay. Imagine for a fact now that I go across and tell you now it's a Diet Coke in place.
Okay.
Who will be having a Diet Coke? 60 plus. Any other answer? Health conscious. Okay. Watch the video first.
Sunshine वाली आशा, रोने की वजह कम है, हंसने के बहाने ज़्यादा। है मुस्कुराएंगे, खुश रहने का है वादा, उम्मीद वाली तू, sunshine वाली आशा। तुम जिससे अगर पूछोगी, वो खुश रहना ही चाहे, जब सच्ची बंदी मांगो, वो खुल जाती है राहें, तो खुल के खुशी लुटाओ, ये क्या है आधा आधा। उम्मीद वाली तू, sunshine वाली आशा, उम्मीद वाली तू, sunshine वाली आशा।
Saw the video? Liked it? No. Why did you like it? Good. One out of the blue saying, that he didn't like. Why did you like it?
Why we need the Coca-Cola in the first place?
Yeah. So what is the message that they are giving? You could have a better tomorrow. That's right. Okay. Anything else that you captured? So why did you not like? That's what is more interesting rather out here.
Why we need that in the first place?
Why do you need a kind of a Coke at the first place? Okay. But why do you not need it? Why do you not need it also? It's not healthy. But they are in the business. Okay. So end of the day, they will have to make profits for themselves. So therefore, end of the day, to do business, they will have to go out to their consumers nicely. And probably here, therefore, what were they trying to propagate and tell across?
It is associated with happiness and
It is associated with happiness, perfect. And
When they are doing this,
and enjoyment
refreshing and all.
and refreshing and all. Okay. Okay, probably yes. So probably you did not like the fact that you don't like or abhor probably a kind of a concept like a soft drink, right? So that's the reason. Probably not the ad, but probably you abhor the kind of a product itself which is a kind of a soft drink, which is a specific kind of a case for sure. But otherwise, more or less, Coke definitely has a lot of kind of market in place, lot of people who love it, and in fact, it is still the number one in terms of market share when it comes to soft drinks in place, right? So therefore, that's the first kind, and you all of you will agree, as we were discussing a while back, that it is meant for a 5-year-old also, a 10-year-old also, probably an 80-year-old also, and you do not mind, okay? Let's look at the next video, which will make things a little interesting.
Becoming who you want to be isn't a destination, it's a journey. My journey began 100,000 kilometers ago. Fencing with my family, I learned discipline, determination, and the will to win. I made a bet with my family that if I win the championship, I'd walk away. That moment was my turning point. And I followed my heart, doing what I love, making music. It was back to the beginning, that everything I've learned allowed me to make it. The people I've met have helped drive me to succeed, which made me realize that a true sense of belonging isn't what you're doing, it's who you're doing it with. I'm proud to belong with people who make me better every day, with teamwork.
Like this?
Yes, sir.
Is Ray-Ban targeting everyone? Probably a 5-year-old also, 10-year-old also, 50-year-old also? No? You agree to the fact?
Yes.
Whom are they targeting there? Teenagers. And if you look at the kind of aviators and what wayfarers and stuff like that which they have, usually the sunglasses, they specialize only in one kind, which is sunglasses, as a matter of fact. And that too only probably the teenagers, as Ayush, right, was probably telling us across. So probably that's the second kind, which I'll be talking about, okay? Now imagine, and I go across to the third advertisement also to show you, right, the third kind of a distinct difference between the kind of target groups there in place. So hold on. It's not there anymore thanks to COVID. They've drawn away with it. But let's look at this in place.
ये आजकल के बच्चे भी ना, इन्हें कोई फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता।
सही कह रहे हैं। We may be confused on what to wear, but कोई और क्या पहने, we don't care. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Our food comes in various filters, but we don't filter people for their food. फर्क नहीं पड़ता यार. We fall in love, break up होता है, and then we fall again. की फर्क पड़ता है यारो? Love can have many names. आंटी जी, इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता। फर्क पड़ता है तो ट्रैफिक जाम में घंटों फंसे रहने से, दिन रात के खांसने से, हम इन सब के बारे में क्या करते हैं? कभी तो शेयर करते हैं। ओला शेयर, इससे कंजेशन घटता है और पोल्यूशन घटता है। आप भी फर्क ला सकते हो सिर्फ ₹1 में विद ओला शेयर पास। शेयर करके देखो, फर्क पड़ता है।
Got it? Who would have used a Ola share? Who would have used? Office worker. Why office worker? You're right. Why office worker? Daily passengers. So and who could have used it?
Being separately the low cost.
Low budget kind of consumers who would be using a kind of an Ola share because they would like to have what kind of a value?
Economic value.
They would like to have the economic value. Perfect. Who would be using a kind of a normal Ola? Rich people. So socio-economic class. Yeah, he's right. He's right. So probably SEC classification wise or socio-economic classification wise, probably the ones who are a little more affluent in nature, right? And probably, even if those of you are not that affluent, you need to take your fiancé for a date, you probably use a kind of a normal Ola also, right? Possible, correct? But that's a one-off case, right? Now, having said so, let's go and now understand, therefore, what market targeting is all about. And the CCTV TP का T क्या होता है, okay? Now look at this. This will help you understand better. Now, yes, what? There's something interesting cooking. No. Yes. About the Ola share. Okay. What is that? Okay, we'll do it after the session, okay? So what happens is, there's this first kind which we call as your single segment specialization, which means, if you look at the markets which I've drawn on the x-axis, and here the products on the y-axis, so one kind of a product which is there for one kind of a market only. So you would have probably looked at the Ray-Ban there in place, and probably only for the teenagers, you're coming up only with sunglasses in place. So that's the first kind which we talk as your single segment specialization, okay? Then there's the second one which is called as your selective specialization, which means that there are different markets and they come up with different products, like the case of which one? Like the case of probably, have you heard of something called as Facebook Lite on a different note altogether? Who uses a Facebook Lite? Why do you use a Facebook Lite?
Storage is less.
Storage is less, perfect.
And consumes less data.
And consumes less data. Have you also heard that there is also something called as B2B Facebook? Only for the business people, you have a B2B Facebook. And there are normal Facebook for us. So therefore, those are different kind of markets. Facebook Lite is one product for the ones like, who consumes lesser space. And then there's B2B Facebook, which is for a different market, which is B2B, or only for the corporates. And there is something for us, the normal folklore, who would love to have the normal Facebook in place. So therefore, that's the second kind, which is your selective specialization. Look at the third one, which is a product specialization, which means I have one kind of a product only, but it is meant for different kind of markets in place. And probably through which example did I teach you this? Did Coke have different kind of markets and only one kind of a product? If you look at Coke, it's something which is the last one probably. They will be having all markets with a kind of all kinds of products. So in fact, you refer to as across maybe a Sprite, you refer to a company. It's not for specific any kind of market there in place. But probably when I was probably talking about Ola in place, Ola, similar kind of products, the product is nothing but your app cab itself. But there is one market which you people rightly told, probably the college going students who are more economy class, maybe the office goers, more economy class maybe. Then there's the second market which is more of affluent class or the rich people, as you rightly mentioned. So therefore that's the second kind, which is the second kind of market. So that's nothing but your product specialization there in place. Look at the next one, which is market specialization, which means I have only one different kind of products made for the one market. Imagine for a fact that you have the iPhone, you also have iPad, you also have Macintosh there in place. Usually Apple users do have that. So therefore what happens? Different kinds of products meant for probably whom? The rich people again, right? So probably the more of the affluent class there in place. And the last one, as I told you, full market coverage, which means irrespective of whether you are rich, whether you are a kind of a middle class, or whether you are kind of your lower middle class, you're able to afford it. So therefore that's nothing but the last one, which is a kind of a Coke there in place. Okay. So now have you got the difference between the different kinds of target market selection? The different kind of target market selection that is usually there. Yeah. So that leads me to the next part of my discussion here. So usually you will find your single segment specialization, like probably the Asian Heart Institute, which specializes only in heart kind of troubles there in place. Selective specialization, which we have now spoken about, more about the Facebook Lite and the Facebook for general audience. We have talked about the product specialization, more about the Ola there in place. We have talked about market specialization, like the case of probably the iPhone which I talked. It's also about Johnson & Johnson, catering across to which class? Johnson & Johnson, one kind of product meant for? Only for the small babies, maybe just the infants there in place, right? And then probably you have full market coverage, like the case of your Coke there in place. Now that leads me to the third part of my discussion today, a little bit of economics in it. Okay, and that's where it is referred to as your willingness to pay target market. If you do not understand what value is, and if you do not understand what willingness to pay is, we will not be able to go on to the fourth and the last segment, which is the proposition fit. Okay, so therefore willingness to pay is the most a consumer will be willing to spend on one unit of a good or a service. Okay, conversely, willingness to accept is the minimum price that the individual is willing to accept to abandon a product or to put up something undesirable, such as your noise or traffic pollution. And in the world of commerce, willingness to accept the lowest price a seller will sell something for. How much are you willing to pay for a glass of water? Yes, ma'am?
Yes.
Imagine that you're given a glass of water. How much are you willing to pay? Huh?
10 rupees.
10 rupees, okay? Depends on the quality, okay?
It depends on how much thirsty I am.
Depends on how much thirsty you are, okay? Fair enough, good answer. Anything else? Very true. Very true.
Depends on place. আমি যদি রাজস্থানে পাই
আমি যদি রাজস্থানে পাই তাহলে হ্যাঁ বল তাহলে
যেখানে পাচ্ছি যেখানে জল নেই সেখানে আমি 10 টাকাও দিতে পারি যেখানে আমি পাচ্ছি যেখানে সমুদ্রের ভেতরে আমাকে এক গ্লাস জল
কি নাম তোমার Monoshi. Monoshi has given us a brilliant kind of an example. Okay? So therefore, willingness to pay varies from area to area, from person to person. What's your good name, ma'am? Yes? Huh? Sneha. So for Sneha is willing to pay rupees 10 for a glass of water. For someone like me out here in Calcutta, I would pay 0. I'm not willing to pay anything. How many of you are with me? Not willing to pay? Thank you so much. Because they know for sure that water is a resource which is easily available in the market, and why should I pay? But if I'm there in Rajasthan, probably in the middle of a desert, and I'm thirsty, and there is no water available, scarce resource, and I find a kind of a shop, and they charge me anything, I'm willing to pay. For a glass of water also, I'm willing to pay $100 also if need be, right? So therefore, that's what the willingness to pay concept comes about, because if you are the future marketeers and future entrepreneurs, if you're not able to fix how much is a customer willing to pay for your product or a service, you will not be headed in the right direction. Okay? Why do you think today, probably a Tata Nano failed in the market? What could be a good reason? Tata, do you agree that Tata Nano is a failure firstly?
Yes.
So why is Tata Nano a failure?
It was promoted in a wrong way. Like it was promoted as the cheapest. Like
Correct.
It has to be affordable or something like that.
Very good. What's your good name? Aditya. Very good. Anything else? Any other answer? As Aditya was.
It was the original motive to make it more cheap. Why did?
Yeah. So that's my question. So why do you think it failed? Did they not make it cheap enough?
So, but that cheapness make it, that affordability put it in a position where it was considered as a low-grade model.
Low-grade model, वही था reason? या फिर was there something else also? Can anyone add on to it? Technical specification went for a toss. Anything else? For its design. What went wrong with the design?
Tata Nano was targeted audience like the fruits like.
Could be is right. Let's.
Like who have small business, like daily business, who carries a huge load on bikes.
I'll tell you the story. You know how Tata Nano story went? Yes, black T-shirt towards the end. What usually happens is, for any kind of a business that you do, and if you see a kind of a luxury business that is there in kinds of car is a luxury item usually.
Yes.
What kind of a value do you think you expect out of a item like a car? Social value, perfect. So if you think, right, what Aditya told, that it is a Laktakia and probably it is cheap, then does it fit into the product category at all?
No, sir.
It does not. So therefore, your willingness to pay for a car kind of a thing would be quite high, as compared to probably a glass of water for which you would not like to pay anything. So therefore, probably is where your Tata Nano missed out and failed, because they could not address the social value needs of the market. They pitched it as a low-cost kind of a product. They could not find too many takers out there, right? So therefore, that was the one reason why they failed. Now imagine for a fact that willingness to pay out here, the willingness to pay concept, it's nothing but how much therefore you are ready to pay for a particular product or a service that is there at hand. Okay? It may be that first time round you're going and tasting a pizza, right? You're wishing and then you're ready to pay 300 rupees also. The next time round, probably you might not be willing to pay so much. You will probably kind of having a desire that, I came in the last time round, can they be offering me a kind of a discount of 10% or 20% this time round? Okay, so that's the kind of willingness to pay concept, which is how much are you willing to pay for a particular product or service in place. Okay, and then there is this concept of opportunity cost in kind of economics. Okay, what does it say? So opportunity cost refers to what you have given up when you choose to purchase something. So when consumers have to choose between two things they like, because there is not enough money for both of them, they will have to give up one. Imagine for a fact that you have 150 rupees in place and it's Valentine's Day. Okay, so you either could gift your girlfriend, okay, or a boyfriend, okay, a kind of a bouquet. You could also be giving a kind of a cake also. But if you give a bouquet, the option of the cake goes away. If you give a cake, the option of the bouquet goes away, right? So in life also you find such options often. So the one that you're ready to give up, that is referred to as the opportunity cost here. So if you are the next gen kind of startup owners, so probably there will always be competitors also. So you have to win your customers from competition. So therefore, what is it? What is the more kind of value that you will be offering so that the consumers can pay up for the opportunity cost, they can let go of your competition's product and they can actually take your product. Okay? That's why the concept of opportunity cost is very, very important. Okay? Now here comes the value diagram, which means nothing but all the values that you're giving. So imagine for a fact that I start at 0, there's something which is cost. So for producing or for manufacturing or for retailing or for doing any kind of distribution, you need some cost at least. For Bisleri water bottle that you saw, there's a cost of manufacturing for the Bisleri water bottle. There's a cost of getting the sealing done. There's a cost of leveling that is there. So that's the first one, which is your cost. So obviously, your price that you charge from the customers should be more than the cost. Otherwise, what happens? Perfect. Otherwise, loss happens. So therefore, your price will have to be more than the cost, and towards the end you find there is nothing but the WTP, which is the willingness to pay. Your willingness to pay for the particular product or service is more than that of the price. So do you think this is a probable kind of a solution for both the kind of the produce at a loss or both at a win-win situation? What do you think? Why both are at a win-win situation?
Because in this scenario we can see that the price is more than the cost.
Correct.
The producers are getting the profit.
Correct.
And the willing to pay by the customer is higher than the cost.
Correct.
The willingness to pay is high. So
absolutely.
I am giving less money than I imagined for the.
Correct. So I am willing to pay more. I am being charged less. So the customer feels, I won, right? So therefore that's the first kind of a situation. So therefore the customer wins. And obviously the firm there, their price is more than the cost, so therefore they win. So therefore this is a kind of a win-win situation for both. Okay. Now can anyone tell me, and put your sharp brains as a kind of an entrepreneur, what is the pricing that you could have ideally adapted in this model? Where could you have taken up your price to or lowered your price down to get maximum profit? Maximum kind of a profit will come in. Now comes in across the third kind, which is okay, let that come. So imagine for a fact now that you wish to increase your profits also to a very large extent. So you have taken your price up to the willingness to pay. Okay, what else can you be doing so that your profit maximizes even more?
Decreasing the cost.
Who said that? Yeah. How will you decrease the cost? Ayush?
By talking with the manufacturer.
By talking with the manufacturer. Okay, fair enough. So in case you are a retailer or probably a wholesaler, you could be talking across to the manufacturer. And
producing more products.
Producing more products, perfect. So you get the economies of scale, and therefore probably the per unit cost diminishes. Perfect. And anything else?
I will add some extra.
Buy a lot of
What extra would you be adding?
Suppose like Bisleri water, so I will get 250 ml more in the 5.
So if you give 50 ml more, then is it affecting you positively or negatively? To give them more will be costing you more. So here my question is, how are you going to make more kind of profits,
If you raise the price,
keeping the cost the same, or probably lowering the cost in place. So probably those are some ideas which as entrepreneurs you have to put in your thinking caps there in place. Yeah. So therefore that's the first kind. So what happens is, find here that your cost has gone down and it's cost 1. So price minus cost 1 is greater than the price minus cost. So here therefore the firm value will increase. What the customer is getting remains the same, but your firm value now increases. And then, do you think that the product will be selling here if your price is more than the willingness to pay? No. Obviously not. So therefore, how will you be, if all these 4 situations, this hypothetical situation that I told you, how will you be ascertaining it that what kind of a willingness to pay is there for your product or your service in question? What would you be doing? Or rather, what would you be doing? Communication with
consumers.
Okay, how will you do that? Okay, anything else? Good, you've gone in the right direction. So usually what is suggested usually is that I think Topun sir was mentioning at that point of time about a prototype there in place, right? So once you're developing your kind of a product or service in place, can you develop a prototype which is almost the kind of the actual product in place? You go out to the market and you try and test it out with your target audience, whether they like it or not. What is the kind of a price that they will be willing to pay for that particular product or service in question? So that's how your market research should ideally be helping in the cause of your willingness to pay. Okay, and then obviously here this is at a loss, because what happens is your price minus cost is 0. So I'm not reiterating this again. So that's what it goes across. So now that we have understood the concepts of what value is, we have understood the concept of what a target market is, what are the various kind of target marketing strategies are, like the single segment concentration, the full market coverage, etc. We have understood what willingness to pay, what opportunity cost is, right? So now that we have understood all these 3 things taken together, that leads me to the 4th and the last part of my discussion today, which is nothing but the value proposition canvas. Okay, and the business fit and the value proposition fit comes in from here. So the value proposition canvas template, as visualized in the image below, and I'll show you this. So it usually has your customer profile on the right hand side and the value proposition on the left hand side. Okay, so what the consumers are wanting and what you as a producer or as a kind of a retailer or as a kind of any kind of a service provider is providing has to have a proper kind of a fit there. Okay, so therefore it has 3 things. If you look at the customer profile firstly, and when I refer to that CCDVTP, what am I referring to out here in the customer profile? When I'm referring to CCTVTP and I'm actually drawing an allegory with customer profile, who are the customers in the CCTVTP model? Target market, absolutely. So now I'm talking about the target market out here in customer profile. So therefore, there are customer jobs that you first need to take care of. Customer jobs which refer to the task that your target customer is trying to get done. So the jobs can be functional, social and psychological, right? As you have already read. So answer the question, what are the tasks that the consumers can complete with your product? So therefore, if you are launching across a new kind of an air fryer there in place. Have you heard of air fryers? Yes. What is the necessity of an air fryer? Why do you need it?
Less oil.
Less oil. So who could be your target audience? Diet conscious people. Perfect. So now see, you have gotten the answers yourselves. So therefore, answer the question, what are the tasks that the consumers can complete with your product? So therefore, my first answer is the target group is the health conscious consumers. I am going ahead and creating a product which is nothing but an air fryer. Air fryer will help me not deep fry it, but possibly a kind of a shallow fry and a kind of a fry which is going to be okay to the tummy of the target audience there in place. So that is what I am trying to solve across. Next is the pains. Pains are the factors that deter the customers from completing a job or negative experience. Answer the question, what are the problems that the customers can eliminate by using your product in question? Okay, so what are the kind, if you are the kind of, again, the air fryer there in place, what is it that your product can eliminate? What are the pains that it can eliminate? Again, health diseases, If you're using too much of an oil, probably your liver is going to be affected day after tomorrow. Probably you could be having a cirrhosis of liver also. Probably your cholesterol levels are going to be high up. So therefore, those are the pains that any consumer foresees here. So using an air fryer is going to reduce those pains. That's the next one. And by the way, while I say so, have you heard on a different note altogether? And probably Arpita was saying a very nice pointer towards the very beginning. I'll take an anecdote to that. Okay, have you heard of a company called Patagonia there in place? Patagonia. It's a kind of a US-based company, and they somewhere they manufacture jackets, leather jackets, not the blazers the kind that I'm wearing, but leather jackets in place. And to manufacture a leather jacket, it actually takes 320 liters of water. Okay, and they somewhere advertise that please don't use us. Why will a marketer do that? A marketer saying that please don't use us. Huh? Because
attract to the customers.
why will it attract to the customers?
To save water, they are saying to save water.
Curiosity of that why we cannot use that.
Why we cannot use that? There will be some kind of a curiosity. Okay, thank you so much for that answer. I'll come back to you. What's your good name? Shubhankar. Okay. Manoshi, you wanted to say something?
Like same type of, they are giving us, like they are challenging to test us or use us. Like,
okay. Yes. A new hand is up. Reverse psychology. Perfect. A very good word that you used. Perfect. But what is the end game that they are trying to tell you that please don't buy us?
Like for saving water.
For saving water, yeah, absolutely. Because you are creating a value here. What is the value?
Social value.
The value is a kind of a social value there in place, that you're taking care of society, you're taking care of future generations, and that water is a natural resource. And then by telling customers that please do not buy us, but please repair and reuse us, they're telling people that we are concerned about the environment, we are concerned about the natural resource getting depleted, and therefore if you use us, then you're probably destroying the environment there, and please don't use us therefore. By the way, after this campaign, they did a huge campaign. They gave full page newspaper ads, they did a lot of television commercials, they gave in a lot of social media promotions also. Their sale actually went up 3 times post the campaign. You know why? I think the answer lies there. I forgot your name. Oprodip, right? Oprodip is bang on. It's nothing but reverse psychology. The more you tell, we keep telling our students that don't do this, don't do that. The more we say don't, you'll do that. It's nothing but that reverse psychology in place. But end of the day, it's all about your value to the society also that is there. Okay? And then, let's go to the other side, and I'll quickly go back to here where it started off from. So therefore, you look at the customer jobs, you look at the pains, and you look at the gains also. Now you look at the value proposition. What is it that you're going to create? So your products and services are going to create gains, and it is going to relieve you of the pains. So that is there. So therefore, what are the products and features that can get the customer jobs done? Which means there are customers who expect certain kind of things, like the air fryer example that I was telling you through, right? So therefore, is your product going to be servicing their kind of a need or a want or a desire that is there within the customer? Okay, the first one, the pain relievers. How can your product address the customer pains that you have identified? And last but no way the least, how can your product deliver the customer gains that you have identified? So if all these questions are answered, that is when the value fit and the business fit actually happens in place. Okay? Now have you got all the things in perspective? Yes. Why did I talk so much about value? Why did I talk so much about CCDVTP? Why did I talk so much about your targeting methodology? Yes. It's nothing but the final model, which is your value proposition fit and business fit, so that the customer gains, the customer pains can be solved and answered by the product or the service that you are actually creating. Okay, I think that's all that I usually address.
Such knowledge Now I would like to request Dr. Orpita Chakraborty ma'am and Dr. Topal Kumar Pal sir to present the certificate of appreciation and a gift of token to our guest speaker and Shubhajit Dev, ICFAI. All the students are asked to stay.
Good evening, all of you. So, on the behalf of Institution's Innovation Cell, BIT, I want to extend really and heartily vote of thanks to Professor Subhanan, the faculty member of ICFAI, and Mr. Shubhajit Bhattacharya, Marketing Manager of ICFAI. I also extend our thanks to our beloved Principal Sir, Professor N.C. Ghosh, for his presence and share his valuable opinion and continuous support to carry out this type of event. I would like to thanks to all the IIC BIT team members, especially President Dr. Orpita Chakraborty, convener Professor Devolina Bari, and all the coordinators of IIC BIT and other faculty members. Those are working really very hard for continuously arranging seminar and workshop for benefit of our students. I like to thanks to all the HODs of various departments. I would like to give special thanks to IIC calendar activity coordinators, Professor Shudipto Datto, specially arranged this seminar for IIC calendar activity team, and advisor Professor Bulbul Mukherjee and other members of IIC calendar activity. I also thanks to all the student volunteers of this seminar, especially Anindita Shaha who make this banner, Farin Begum and Devanjali Shutrudhar for anchoring, Devdeep Mahapatro and Arun Haldar for felicitations and coordinations, Jeet Shatra for photography, and Vivu Mondo for videography. Finally, I would like to thank all the faculty members of various departments who are specially present here, and all the students who are participating in these very beautiful and interactive sessions, and those are interacting with our speakers. Thank you all for the presence, and the seminar is now about to end. So I think all the students are requesting to come here to get a group photo.